Hello, Spell Squad. This is the free live magic Q&A tea party with Madame Pamita that meets up every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. We record this as a live free Zoom webinar every Sunday, and then we post the recording later on in the week for rewatch on YouTube. So if you're finding this on YouTube and you're like, what is this amazing thing? I have questions I want answered, and I want to meet these amazing guests, and I want to be in the clubhouse. Well, it is easy to do. You can do it. You can be with us live. You don't have to just watch the rewatch. To do that, though, you have to be in the Spell Squad. And to get into the Spell Squad, you go to spellsquad.com. You sign up to be on the email list where you'll get the announcements and you'll get the link to join us. And it's as simple as that. You'll also get great articles sent to you once in a while. You get a free book about 7 secrets to supercharge your spell work. You'll get all kinds of goodies. So you not only get in the room, but you get some other stuff as well. And so I hope you'll join us and be a member of the Spell Squad. It doesn't cost anything to join. Doesn't cost anything to be here. It's just this amazing time for us all to get together and talk about our beautiful spiritual lives and all the things that we do in all the beautiful array of magic and spirituality. So I hope that you'll join us. You hear that scratching? That's my cat deciding to claw something over there. Luckily, both cats aren't in the house or you'd hear a cat fight. They've been fighting lately. So one's outside right now. Anyway, if you're wondering, if you stumbled upon this and you're wondering who I am, I'm Madame Pamita. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Madame Pamita. You can find me on my website, which is parlorofwonders.com. I also have an Instagram account, which is at Madame Pamita. I've got a blog on my site, Parlor of Wonders. I've got all kinds of free how-to videos, how-to guides, all kinds of good things over there. And I have a new-ish blog that I'm doing that's on Pathos Pagan. It's called Baba Yaga's Cottage, and it's about Slavic magic. So I hope you'll go check that out too. And if you just want to find me, I'm at parlorofwonders.com. So this week, my guest is Ainslie MacLeod, and Ainslie is an internationally acclaimed past life psychic. He's a spiritual teacher. He's an award-winning author of The Instruction, which I couldn't find it. I have it, but I can't find it because it's in a stack where I was reading something and I put it somewhere. But he's also written The Transformation, that book. Oh yeah, he's got The Instruction. We got The Transformation. And his newest book, which is so amazing. And Ainslie, I've recommended this book to so many people. It's the Old Souls Guidebook. He specializes in exploring past lives to reveal your life's purpose and has been a featured guest on Oprah's SuperSoul Conversation series. I was telling everybody in the email, if they come to the show and they see you, they're 1 degree of separation from Oprah, right? So if you want to find him, of course, you can find him online at his website, which is Ainslie MacLeod, which I'm going to put in the chat so that you all can see it because it's a Scottish name. And so it has all kinds of things that Americans don't know how to spell, right? So let me put that down. There's his website address. If you go there, it will also be in the YouTube video down in the comments below. And there's a Soul World membership that he has, a membership group that he has that is soulworld.com. God, that's hard to say, Soul World. Yeah. But it's a beautiful phrase. So soulworld.com is a membership, and there's a special going on. I found out what the special is. You can have a free week trial in Ainslie's Soul World Community Membership Program, and I'm going to give you the coupon code at the end of the session today. I have all the answers. Ainslie was like, I don't know what it is. Christine, my wife, knows. I think she sent it to you. Okay, I've got it. So there's going to be a code that we give you at the end that's going to be good through the 25th of this month. So it's like you got to get on it right away. So that's going to be in his Soul World group, and it's amazing. I've had so many great sessions. I've had sessions with him. I've gone to seminars with him, and he is amazing. So I'm so excited to have you here, Ainslie. So here you are.
Here we are. And thank you for the wonderful introduction. And it's such a pleasure to be here.
Oh my gosh, it is. I'm just happy to see, like me, I'm just happy to see you and spend some time with you. And it's a bonus that we get to bring all our friends in here,
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is so fascinating, and I hope that you'll share with everyone, because I know the story, but they don't know the story, is the story of how you got started doing this. Ainslie, were you born a psychic? When you were a child, were you this Mozart of psychic awareness? I know the answer.
I think you know the answer. Actually, there is something that apparently my grandmother said something when she looked at me when I was just born, and used an expression they used in Scotland about saying, "Oh, this one is fey," which means like, you got the sight. But that was just, nobody told me about that until I was probably 40 or something, But so I never thought. I mean, I really never thought I was psychic, and it was never that sort of whole thing. It was just not on my radar for the longest time. And then there was a point where, probably in my early 30s, somebody told me about going to see a psychic, and I was strangely fascinated, but at the same time kind of, questioning the veracity of it all. But I went to see this person, and thinking, on one level, I'm saying, well, I just want to go and debunk this whole thing. But, I came out of the session with my hair standing up on end and going, how the hell could she know all this stuff? And that got me sort of interested, but I was locked. I think it's cognitive dissonance, where you're holding on to two completely opposite beliefs. On one hand, I was convinced I was an atheist, and on the other, fascinated by psychics and that sort of world. So I kept hearing for the longest time from psychics that I was psychic and I should be doing something with it, but nobody ever followed it through and said, well, and here's how you start. So I just went, I can't really think. I mean, I don't know how you do this. And then I had this experience, which I think is the one you're talking about, where I'd emigrated. I'd moved from the UK. I'm in the States, and I ended up in California. I had my first epiphany actually was when I got there, and actually literally here first night in California, I heard the voice of a psychic who had spoken to me 10 years before, telling me I was going to end up in California. And I remember protesting and saying, I mean, I wasn't at the time even thinking about leaving Britain, so it seemed a little bit weird. And then the next big epiphany was that I went to Hawaii, and these psychics kept telling me that my Uncle John wanted to work with me. And my feeling was like, the skeptic in me was going, yeah, everybody's got Uncle John, it's a bit of an obvious one. And he was an atheist like me, and but I actually was wandering around a bookstore in Hawaii in what I knew was like a really altered state. I mean, I didn't know what the heck was going on, but I felt really spacey, something really odd. And I ran into my uncle all of a sudden, which was a huge surprise because he'd been dead for 10 years at least at that point. And he was there kind of just on my right side for about a second, maybe. Just there and gone, but very, very real. And with a much longer message about working together. So I went back to the mainland and thought, well, people keep telling me I can do this, so I'll just give it a try. So I just called him in, sat there just in a quiet room and went, okay, John, if you want to talk. And that was like really the start of it. I mean, that's how I began to get interested. And from there, I spent maybe 3 years just kind of honing the skills. I didn't train with anyone. If I could do it again, I would, because I could speed up the whole process. But I just kind of taught myself and figured out a way to communicate. He passed me over to the spirit guides that I work with now, who are, they're not the freshly dead. They're more sort of elevated, if you like. The great thing about the guides that I work with is that they see the big picture. So my uncle, for example, is a little limited. He's between lives, and quite helpful with some practical things. But for the real big picture, life purpose, past lives, that sort of thing, I was handed over to these spirit guides who I've been working with, it's now 20 years. So that's my origin story.
And the thing that I love about that story is how you were it wasn't as if you had always dreamt of being a psychic. Oh, this is my dream of being a psychic. You and I both are musicians.
Right.
We wanted to be rock stars.
I know.
But it's like, it's like the universe had a different, I want to say a plan for us. I don't know. But I always
I think it is very much. I think there can be you can have more than one thing going on as part of your life plan. But yeah, looking back and having had the chance to talk to the spirit guides, I had a couple of near misses with bands that almost made it and didn't. And but as it turned out, I'm a hell of a lot more fulfilled doing the work now. Although, I mean, I was so resistant to begin with because, well, first of all, I had a whole bunch of fears, and I was very self-conscious about even using the word psychic. I was kind of embarrassed to use it. So when people would say, "So what do you do for a living?" I would go, "Oh, I'm sorry for it." And I was actually at a party, and the host's father, who was deaf, he was saying to me, and this is when I was really self-conscious, just started in the early days, and he goes, "So what do you do for a living?" And I'm going, "Oh, psychic." He goes, "Psychotherapist?" Everybody's turning and everybody's looking at us.
No.
And I go, "No, psychic." He goes, "Psychiatrist?" No. And then I'm going, "Psychic." And it's like, oh, geez. And just over time, I mean, I would work with my spirit guides. I'd be saying, "Can we not find a better word?" And they would go, "Well, we can't think of one. Just own it." And then my kids for my birthday gave me personalized tabs for my car, which are P5YCH1C, which spell out psychic. And at which point I thought, well, it'd be sort of churlish and mean to reject this. So I just went, yeah, I just embraced it. But I was really self-conscious to begin with, and my partner at the time was horrified by this change in course. I'd been an artist for years. My elderly parents back in Scotland, horrified, worried about what's the minister going to think, which was really interesting because when my mother died, the minister came. We're talking about the funeral, and he is so fascinated about the work. He just wanted to talk about the work that I do.
It's so amazing. I think we find that when we are open about it, we find, surprisingly, if we're shy, as I was too, about, when people think I'm a cuckoo bird,
right?
More people are interested or couldn't care less. You don't get the judgment that you fear, I think, that you are so fearful of.
What I have found is that I think it's like, if I'm thinking about, how sometimes, you see like a minister goes around with a dog collar or something, and people know, oh, that's somebody I can talk to, about appropriate things, or maybe if somebody's a doctor, you would share, might talk to them about health issues. And I found that when I came out of the closet, as it were, and really started to get comfortable with calling myself a psychic, people would just open up. They would go, "Oh my gosh," and even the most scientifically trained people would have some story, well, this happened to me, or this happened to a family member. And it really led me to believe, I think almost everybody's got some kind of tale of the supernatural or some kind of psychic experience. But they just don't normally share it with other people. Of course, I mean, I've heard people say, I wouldn't say this to just anyone. They wouldn't understand.
Do you mind if I tell people a little bit about my experience of having a session with you? Would that be all right?
Please,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to just share with everyone what it's like to have a session with you and what it's like to have the group sessions that we used to have back when we used to gather. Now, I mean, I'm sure everything is changing and there's going to be a different variation on that for you. But I'm going to tell them first about our private session that we had. So I had a private session with Ainslie, who we connected up through a client, through a couple clients is how we connected. Right. And I said, well, golly, I want to, we're connected, but we haven't ever connected. So I said, I'm going to have a session with him just to, so that we can connect at some point. And I have to say how transformative this session was on a lot of levels for me. First of all, I do past life readings, and to hear you do past life readings, I saw there's so much that we do that's the same, which means we're getting information from the same source, which was so affirming for me. Like I was just I had only done past life regressions back when I was in my 20s. And so I thought that's the only way that you can have past life information is through your own informed, regression or hypnosis or something like that. And then I started doing tarot readings with people and finding out about their past lives. Then I started just downloading information for people. And what I found was so fascinating is you just do the full download. Like you sit there with Ainslie and you can present like, okay, this is what my concern is, or I have, like a phobia, or I have this problem in my life that keeps repeating. And I want to find out the source for that. So when I sat down with you, I brought my problem to you and you said, okay, we're going to go through some past lives of other past lives. And then we're going to get to that one. And so we did some other past lives and it was crazy because I did not present this. You're not going to remember this because you do readings all the time, but I'm going to share this with everybody. I had an issue as a musician. So we're going to talk about when we're musicians. Ainslie did not know that I played music. All he knew about me was that I did tarot card readings. That's all you knew about me. Mm-hmm. He said to me, okay, we're going to get to that other issue, but first I want to tell you about this past life. You were a musician and you were a piano player in like music hall in the pit playing the piano. And you were a real artiste, but here you are playing these funky, little ditties that were, just like stupid songs. And the singer's up there doing their comedy act and they're getting all the applause and you're down in the pit and you're feeling all this anger and jealousy and rage. And I'm getting chills talking about it, Ainslie. I was like, Ainslie, I do not feel jealousy about anything in my life. Another reader, another artist, because I'm a painter, you're a painter, I'm a painter. I love everyone succeeding, but in music, I get so jealous. I get so jealous when someone else has success. And holy smokes, I go, I was a musician in a previous lifetime. That makes sense, total sense. You didn't know that I played music now. And then B, the issue around the music, it blew me away. The other part of it is this, that you and I know Ainslie is doing this work. When you do a past life session with someone, it heals it. They don't necessarily have to do anything about it. Right. It heals it. And from that time that I did that session with you, I no longer had that rage and jealousy about someone else succeeding in music.
Isn't that amazing? It just disappears like that.
Isn't that phenomenal?
Yeah.
And that's the magic. And maybe can I ask a question before everyone else's question? Do you know why that works? I don't know why that works. I've done it with clients and client work. We do a session, we do a past life, and then the problem goes away. And I'm like, what happened? How did that happen? So maybe you have the answer to that.
It's a fairly simple principle. It's based on the fact that your soul, well, let's say you're a very old soul, like you are. And that usually means, let's say something like 120 lifetimes. So maybe like sort of average. It's quite a number of lives. You've lived, you've died. Between each life, your soul goes to the astral plane, you come back, new body. The end of that life, the body dies, the conscious mind goes, soul continues. So from the soul's perspective, it doesn't feel like life 120, it feels like life number one. We're still on that first life. Now, as time goes on, we tend to, the fears sort of dissipate, longer you go back. Most of the past lives I look at are not more than 500 years ago. It's rare to look at one older than that. But your soul can't easily separate out one life from the next. So what we're doing quite simply by airing the details of the past life, and sometimes it doesn't need very much, is just enough for the soul to be able to go, oh, that's a past life. It's not this life. And it just goes, oh, okay, well, we'll stop worrying. And that's where I've seen all sorts of fears, blocks to fertility, all sorts of physical ailments and things just lift like that. I often talk about somebody I was working with who, she had 20 years of chronic pain lifted just in a moment, literally as we were talking about the past life. And It all came from a past life where she had been beheaded. And almost always, if someone's been beheaded in a past life, which is unfortunately more common than you would think, it causes neck and shoulder pain. If you've been hanged in a past life, it'll cause throat chakra issues and neck pain, but not usually the shoulder thing as well. This is a little minor curiosity there. And so, yeah, so working with her, just that neck and shoulder pain just disappeared. She's a ballroom dance teacher, so she's saying she had to sort of, move her head and neck all the time. And it's just completely gone. But all sorts of things like, just any blocks to confidence, speaking your truth. Every phobia is a past life issue, and they can all respond sometimes really, really very quickly. It's rare not to get any healing at all.
You know what's so funny is I just got an image that you and I will both relate to. It's like a record, when a record starts skipping and repeating that same groove over and over again. And it's like you pop it out of that groove and then the record can play. And it feels almost just like that. Like it's having totally that past life session just feels like that. And it was, Ainslie, it still blows my mind when I talk about it, how crazy that was, that there was this one weird area where I even had the awareness of like, you know what, kind of recognition. You're being such a jerk. Why are you jealous of that other band having success? Why are you so jealous? Why are you so angry about it and so envious when no other area of your life?
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's always sort of irrational aspect of it. It's like, where the heck, this doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
And sometimes, you scan your childhood and you think, well, maybe it's this. And certainly there are triggers in past lives, but they bring fears and blocks up. But the cause is more often in the past life. And that's why if you go back to that, you shift out how things are now.
It's so fast. It's so fascinating. Well, at any rate, I'm no longer jealous of other bands having success. It cured it. It absolutely 100% cured this really odd, quirky thing that I couldn't figure out, because you feel, anyway, you figure if you're jealous, you're a jealous person, you're jealous all across the board. No, it was one area I was getting
that one
crazy.
Thing, right?
Yeah, it was the one area. And then now no issue at all whatsoever.
Right.
So for that, thank you. I've also had sessions where we have had group sessions where we come together, and you and Brian, who is down here in the South Bay, who's an amazing healer. Brian's last name,
Grijalva.
Oh, okay. I knew it was some long name that I would screw up. He does work of healing on the physical level. He does a lot of physical healing, and you along doing that past life healing, and together you guys are like a dynamic duo. And I've been to a couple of those, and they're just so much fun. So I hope that in the virtual world in this time, maybe there'll be some kind of version of that people will be able to tap into at some point.
We're actually doing a workshop next month.
Oh, great. Online. And it's on your site?
It will be. Yes.
Fabulous. So you'll have that experience. And in that experience, it's lovely because you go around to the people in the audience. You have a group past life meditation where people find their past life, they share it, and then you kind of give some insight and feedback into that. And it's a different kind of situation than the one-on-one, but it's definitely a lovely and enlightening scenario. And I love both of them.
And it's sort of like a tag team thing where I'm finding the past life source, and he's doing the body work to release the energy. And
and he's another one that just like said something to me, and I'm like, how does he know what's going on? It was amazing. Anyway, I should have him on the show one day. I should get in touch with him and have him. Let's get to some questions. I mean, we could just chit chat all day. I know you and I could probably just talk and talk, but let's get to some. I already saw some really cool and interesting questions. So Nina,
since we're having a tea party, I just got to top up.
Oh, your tea. I've got I'm drinking. Do you know, now I bet you didn't know this before we get into question, roasted dandelion root tea. I'm going to tell all of you Spell Squad people this. Do you know that tea magically is historically, magically, the magical properties of it? It helps you open up your psychic link. It helps you open up that third eye and all of that stuff. So if you want to have like psychic dreams, or you want to sit down and do divination, or you want to connect to your past lives or your spirit guides, dandelion root tea is a good one. And it tastes delicious. It's kind of like kind of coffee-ish, so if you like coffee, it's a little like coffee. You can put some cream and sugar.
My wife swears by it.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
It all the time.
And Christine is an amazing psychic, aware person, so it's not
Oh,
surprising
she
to me.
is. We have moments where I kind of go, gosh, I thought I was a psychic, but we even had a chat with the spirit guides earlier today about something, and I'm asking questions, and spirit guides are they're referring me to her. They're just like, it's like, yeah, she really has that tremendous gift.
Well, we were talking earlier and we were saying we're going to get both of you guys on. Next time
Yeah,
you
that
guys
would be
come on,
fun.
we'll have both of you. We'll have a big reunion. It'll be all of us. She's watching secretly, but we got to get her in front of the camera next time.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so Nina had a question. She wanted to know, is it possible in past lives that we knew our pets as either other animals or even humans? What's your thought about that?
Well, in my experience, yes, absolutely. I have my cat, Lily, who's fast asleep over in a chair there. And she was with me earlier in this life. She was a cat that I had when I was a kid. And we were very, very close then. We're very close now. And I mean, to a ridiculous extent, she just absolutely adores me. She will sometimes just sit there just like staring at me and purring. She's just like, I love you, I love you. She follows me around all over the house the whole time. I never get any time alone. Wherever I am, she's got to be there. So we have a really strong bond, but it's developed over many, many lifetimes together. So I think this is immensely reassuring to know that if you have a pet, especially I worked with somebody last week who had just lost a pet. And what I found is that you can petition the universe. You can literally say, look, I'm really missing my dog or whatever, and I would really like that soul to come back. And you know, the spirit world hears this sort of stuff and will respond. And because animals' lives are a little shorter usually than ours, they can come back more than once in this life. So, you know, I know that if I lost Lily, or when I do, I would put in a request, you know, come back a little bit later. It's been so lovely having her around, you know. And so what I've found is that dogs will tend to come back, not necessarily the same breed, but usually the same kind of size. So I wouldn't see a St. Bernard coming back as a Chihuahua or vice versa, but I might see, you know, sort of a medium-sized dog coming back as a medium-sized dog. And so that makes it a little bit easier to recognize them. But, you know, one thing I learned was that I picked up Lily from a rescue place, and the moment I saw her, I had my kids with me, and they were going, "Oh, Dad, check out this one. Look at these." And I was going, "No, this is my Scarlet O'Hara. This is my cute little redhead. Definitely the one." If I had made a poor choice, the spirit world would have made sure that it was ultimately the right one. Switch the soul around or something like that, making sure you're not going to get the wrong one is basically. The spirit world is ensuring that, you know, that you connect up with the pet that you want. So yeah, I hope that's really reassuring. If you have lost a pet, it can be devastating because you can develop a connection with animals over many, many lives that younger souls or those who are not so connected with animals or not so empathic can't really understand. You know, they go, it's just a dog or it's just a cat. You know, it's like, you know.
That reminds me, you know, when you bring that up, the younger soul, older soul thing, that was to go to your books, to talk about your books just for a second.
Sure.
The books, all three of your books, but particularly the first book, because that when I got the Old Souls Guidebook wasn't out when I first got it. It was the instruction and the transformation that were out. Mm-hmm. And the instruction was so mind-blowing for me because it helped me to understand why I could see something was so obvious to me and a younger soul couldn't see it. So it made me have compassion then for younger souls, you know?
I think that's a big part of it as well, you know, because I think there's a tendency to want to be an old soul and maybe look down at younger souls, but that's like looking down at children because
exactly
they're not as tall as you or something.
Exactly. I say, you know, like I say, I refer people to your books all the time because if they want to understand that concept of the old soul and the young soul, they can understand why is my parent so fundamentalist and I'm so free thinking, and how come my parent can't understand me? I'm like, your parent is a young soul, so you wouldn't tell a little child, do calculus.
Right.
You know, the
It's
little
exactly
child
right.
can't do calculus.
Yeah.
I can't do calculus.
Yes, the adult soul, I can't even do that.
That's not a good example. Okay, write a novel. Write a novel. A little kid can't write a novel, but you know, an
Yeah.
adult could write a novel, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's like if you have someone who's older than you in age, or maybe an authority figure, a boss, a parent, or somebody who's a younger soul, and you're like, God, why can't they see that, you know, that spirituality is beyond religion? Why are they so fundamentalist? Or why are they so this and that? Why are they so strict? Why are they so
Yeah, they
rule
just can't get
oriented?
it. It's
Yeah.
a lack of experience. They just haven't had the incarnations that have taught them that, you know, what old souls get, they understand that we're all connected.
Yeah.
And that's really a huge part of the journey. I
Yeah.
describe it always as the journey going from a place of me to we, fear to love. And this, almost like the sign of being an older soul, is greater acceptance. And that doesn't mean accepting bad behavior or anything. It's just like, you know, it's not like just saying, oh, you know, let those young souls, you know, let them do their thing. We know we're supposed to guide them. You know, as old souls, we should be, you know, helping others to live better lives for everybody. It's very hard for younger souls. They literally lack the, for many of them anyway, they just lack the ability to really understand, because they just haven't got there yet. And so, yes, that extra level of compassion doesn't stop you from tearing your hair out and, you know, when looking at these crazy young souls in the White House or whatever it might be. But for me, it was once I understood soul ages, it was like, oh, this is what I'd always wondered all my life. I'd wonder, why can you take two people who have the same kind of upbringing, the same opportunity for education, but one is, you know, Buddhist pacifist, you know, vegan, and the other one was a gun-toting redneck fundamentalist. And so that was never made sense, you know. I mean, I even remember growing up in Scotland and watching on the TV race riots and stuff in America, and just going, gosh, you know, could we send them some books or something? And maybe, you know, because I didn't understand then. Is it like lack of education? But it's much more than that. It's lack of spiritual experience. And then just seeing, now that doesn't mean for 1 second that just because you're a young soul, you're going to act out or act badly. But it is more difficult for the younger soul to empathize with others. And that's one of the really big differences, because when you get to be an old soul, it's much, much easier to empathize with others of whoever they are.
Yeah. You just have a greater wisdom and understanding, I think, in a broader sense.
Well,
And
because
so,
you've been there. Whatever you're observing in somebody else, you know that you've been there before.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I compare it a lot of times when I'm talking to clients. I'm like, you know, it's like the older person and the child. The older person is supposed to lead the child, but you understand the child because you were once a child. You understand, hopefully you have that understanding.
Well, that's right. It's
remembrance
much
of that.
easier. It's much easier for the adult to understand the child than for the child to understand the adult.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get to another question. You want to answer another one?
Absolutely.
All right.
Keep them coming.
I know we've been just I mean, everything is so, there's so much to talk about. All right. So Murphy Pizza wants to know, curious as to how you discern when someone's issues are due to a past life problem or current life problem.
Well, often a past life problem is the cause of the present life issue. So if I'm working with somebody, what I would do is the first thing I do is find out if it is past life related. If it's not, and I'm not going to waste somebody's money or time, you know, looking for something that's not there.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, almost I mean, really, I do believe that everything about we humans is past life related in some sort of way. So, I mean, if it were a health issue, and I'm not a doctor, not a medical intuitive, I always say that, but you know, I do find physical things coming up in past lives. And so if I was working with somebody and it was just they've had an accident and, you know, they fell down, broke their knee or something, then I'm probably not going to find it's a past life cause. But there might be an area of weakness in the knee, and that's why the person fell in the first place. Or they might have a past life issue around healing. Let's say they died of pneumonia in a past life, so they were sick and they never recovered. Well, that can tell the soul that if you get sick, you're not going to get better. So it loses the effectiveness. It doesn't become so engaged in healing. So even that person who's just got an injury with their knee, maybe we can speed up the healing because we get rid of that little block from the past. So there's pretty much always something that we can do. I can't even remember what was the original question.
How do we tell if an issue comes from a past life or a present life? And I mean, I think you sort of ask your guides right away, and they'll tell you this.
Well, that's how I would do it. I was just ask the spirit guides.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I sometimes people come with past life questions about a connection with another person, and the first thing I ask is, they'll come saying, I feel like I had a past life with this person, and I look to see whether they did or not. And if they didn't, then I go, no, this is the first time you two are together. Right. But we may see other issues, and we can look at those, or whatever. So, Katie has a question. If you have a very vivid, detailed dream about yourself in a past time, could that be related to a past life, or how could you confirm that?
Absolutely. Well, what I understand is that if you have a dream that's very vivid, and especially if it appears to be in another era, then yeah, you're tapping into a past life. So what you do with that is you want to know why you're getting that. Why is the spirit world giving you that or accessing that for you? And so then look at what you might draw from that experience. So it's always about looking at the lessons to draw. One thing my spirit guides always say is that the experience is not the lesson. The lesson is what you draw from the experience. And there's always a positive lesson, no matter how tough the experience. So that's what I'd encourage you to do. Just, journal about it and look, what's this tell me about my life? Why might this be up? And how might I change things right now?
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Rose has a question. I mean, I jump in and I have stuff to say, but everything you're saying is you're like answering like I would answer. So I don't have anything to add to it.
Well, you feel free.
Rose has a question. She says, it's wonderful to be with you all. And I'd love to know the best way to understand what past lives can guide me now, or how past lives can guide me now in this life. How can I access and understand my past lives guidance? So I mean, can I just jump in before you jump in? Sure. And I think I would recommend, because you probably won't do this and I will do it. I would recommend getting Ainslie's books as a starting place. If you wanted to find out about past lives and you just want to sort of are curious and you want to know, I think Ainslie's books I recommend them to clients all the time. I mean, some of my clients are in the room here and they're probably going, yeah, I remember you said to get that book. So this one I feel like is more like if you're feeling the dissonance of like, I can't understand other people, this one is really helping you to understand your place in the world. But the instruction is really the one of like, that's the first one you did. And that one really, to me, goes very, very in depth in explaining and understanding the framework of
Yes, it's much more a system.
Yeah,
absolutely. So if you like that kind of thing, it would certainly work very well. Breaks down all the elements of your life plan.
It's like, I think that's a great place to start. And so then you can understand where you are in that scheme of things. It can inspire you to do there's also things that tell you how to work with it and what to do and all of these other things. I feel like it's so useful and practical in that book. I feel like that's the real kind of nuts and bolts practical one about working with past lives.
Right. Yes.
Oh my gosh. To me, it was like, I was like, oh, that's it. Just for some reason, that whole thing of like understanding young souls versus old souls it gave me a lot more compassion instead of frustration. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think this one does that. And now in this book is all about that, like how to understand when you are that old soul, which I can tell you that, as you say, like people that come to you are old souls because young souls aren't interested in having a past life reading.
I've never worked with a young soul yet.
Yeah, exactly. I say the only time I meet young souls is if I do tarot readings at a party where there's everybody at the party and they're all getting tarot readings, but nobody would ever come to, pay for a one-on-one session with me if they weren't an old soul. So all you guys that are here in the room, we can probably pretty good bet that you would be an old soul. And so this
I would
book,
think.
yeah, this is a great book for understanding like what your role is in the world, how to relate to people who have younger souls, and how to navigate a world that, and especially in American culture, that is a young soul culture. Oh, Javier, it's such a young soul culture.
Yeah,
It kind of makes me lose my mind.
It's really hard on old souls. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Chris asks, this is my friend Chris, he asks, what is the best way to start past life work? Is there like someplace, a starting point that someone was interested in doing, let's say a discovery, besides the books, doing a discovery?
Well, I would encourage you to do regressions on your own. You don't necessarily have to have somebody else to do it. I have a guided meditation and regression available. You can just do a search, or it's on the website. And but even if you were to just go into a meditation and ask your spirit guides to just show you whatever it was that you need to know, I think it's a little bit like, my first time talking to spirit guides. I thought I was going to get nothing, to be honest. I didn't have a lot of confidence, and but once you actually try, it's amazing how relatively easy it can be. I mean, sometimes you need to do the work. You need to put effort into it, and maybe what I always say about past life regression is that it's a learned skill. So you want to, if you don't get anything the first time, you want to come back and do it. But that's really the key. Or you could work with me directly. I'm very booked up, but it's a good way to do it. Actually, one thing that's worth mentioning is that we have a past life regression every month as part of our membership program in the Soul World, and that's a great opportunity because you can do the regression with us live, but there's also a recording as well.
So great.
Way to do it. Yeah.
So great. And I'm going to give them the code so they can get a free week.
Yes.
Which will be awesome. And
Right.
they can try it out, and see that group. And I think it's just lovely to have that community. And so many people right now, what a beautiful thing that is to have a community. I get that a lot from clients that feel, isolated, alone, not just alone in quarantine, but alone, like nobody understands. They're old souls and they're surrounded by young souls. I mean, that's what it is, right?
Yes. What I say is that you want to belong, but you want to belong to people who don't think you're crazy if you start talking about spirit guides or the soul. Or
yeah. So this is your soul world is really a old souls group get together, right?
In fact, the spirit guides called it a reunion of souls.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I would bet you, this is a little curiosity question. I'll bet you that you find a lot of people in the same soul groups meeting in the soul world.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. That's a meeting point.
After doing the regressions, we always have people phone in, and I help them to process whatever happened, to understand what it all means, what to look for in this life, and so on. And we've had a couple of times where people we've have called in. In fact, one time one person calls in, they're talking about being on the dance floor dancing with a woman. The next person to call in was saying, I was a woman on the dance floor and I was dancing with this guy. It turns out to be the same life. And I've had that at live events as well. I think you witnessed one of those.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
You have two people who are, on opposite sides of the same life. Like, and one person's being beaten up by the other one. It's like, oh gosh, you guys are just here to sort of make amends and shake hands, forgive the other. But it's really all of this is sort of divinely guided, if you like, to make sure that we do get the healing we want. That thing of belonging is so important. So many souls carry with them a fear of rejection. It causes them to feel like an outsider or be a bit of a loner. And it can be hard going through life like that, especially if you're a really old soul and 90% of the population's younger than you are, and it's hard to find your people. So if you can find a spiritual community and feel that you're not going to get rejected, it's incredibly healing.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Absolutely.
It's so good. It's so good. And I can imagine that soul world gathering is just that amazing convergence where you feel
Yeah.
you can kind of almost, I get this like feeling like you could kind of go like,
Yes.
I don't have to be on guard or worried or frustrated or, you know, all those other emotions that we have when dealing with people that don't understand us, you know, and
Yeah,
we can get a lot of
yes,
understanding.
exactly. We've created a very, very safe space. I mean, there's zero tolerance for any rudeness, for example, and we just keep it a very, very loving and
Yeah.
open space for old souls to come in and share and get to know each other. And people form relationships. You know, we got ones who now travel together, and you know, it's just
So
like it's
nice.
so funny. There is something just on that topic which I find fascinating, is that you might meet somebody and you wonder if they're part of this of your soul family. Almost always the one of the signs, apart from feelings of familiarity, is that at some point you find that you have mutual friends in common. It's like, oh, who would have thought? You know so and so, you know. But yes, of course you do, because you're all part of that same soul family.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Like I
You
think
know
you
what?
and I have a lot of people in common, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We really do. It's just crazy. But you know, it's also so funny, Ainsley, is that it's always when you meet someone in your soul group, it's always a two-way street. I have never ever heard of an encounter where someone goes, I feel like I've known you 15 years, and the other person goes, I don't know what you're
Get
talking
away
about,
from me.
lady. Exactly. It's always this, and I have to share one little thing that's it's a fun little story. I had a friend in elementary school. We were such dear friends. And then we went to separate high schools and separate colleges. And so we lost touch with one another. Then when we were in our 40s, she has an unusual name. I looked her up online once we started having the internet and social media, and I found her. And I found her because I had written this story, and I was like, oh, I included her in this little story. And I said, oh, I want to connect with her again. She came to mind. And when we saw each other again, it was the most a beautiful feeling, because it wasn't a stranger. You went right back into that place where you were dear friends again.
Right.
And we still are, like, we love each other so much, and we talk all the time now. You know, it's all of that. That's what you have when your soul meets someone else in your soul group. It is like dropping into that place where you feel so comfortable. You know the other person. You feel a deep connection and a love for the other person. Like, you know, like, how could you say, like, Ainsley, I've known you 15 minutes, but I love you. I feel like I know you, and
Right.
I feel like we're friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we haven't spent enough time to have built that, so it comes from
That's
somewhere
right.
else. You know.
No, exactly. Well, it's on a soul level. What it is, the souls recognize each other, and the heart chakras open right up, like
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
it's sort of accepting, and it's, you know, it draws you in. So yeah, unless one of the two was really blocked, it would be a mutual thing, two-way street, like you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a lovely thing when we meet our
Oh, it is.
people in
Yeah.
our soul group.
Yeah.
It's so delightful.
Yeah.
Karen has a question. If you have a dysfunctional family, could it be related to a past life issue? I think that's kind of more maybe, well, it could be any number of things, right? But
Oh, I'd love to
could it
talk
be?
about this one. Yes, because yeah, the answer is absolutely. It can be related, very often related. Now, what happens is that when your soul gets to be old, the fewer lifetimes that you have ahead of you, the more the soul wants to get things done in this life. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be all hell for leather and sort of super active, but definitely certain things, fears need to be overcome, for example. So the way I describe this is, you know, for people who know the reference, it's a little bit sort of like a dated reference. But I say that if you were, let's say that, take that fear of rejection, you have to work through that. So you have to bring it up in that life so that then you're starting to overcome it. Because you don't want to keep coming back and having to repeat lives just to work through, you know, a particular fear. So I always say that you would come in choosing a family like the Waltons. I don't mean the billionaires. I mean the sort of TV family. You know, everyone is all sort of.
I'm old enough to know the Waltons.
No,
Okay.
you know, they're all sort of lovey, you know,
Yeah.
caring, and instead you come into the Munsters or the Addams family because you're choosing, you're deliberately, soul is choosing a dysfunctional family so that the experience of growing up in that family will trigger the fears to be worked with. So now the experience is not the lesson. So if you want to figure out what it is that you're here to learn from your family of origin, just simply look at how they've triggered you. Look at the sort of repetitive things that have come up, you know, where they're always putting you down, that might mean you're working through some past life issues around inferiority. Would they not let you be who you were? You might be working through self-expression or judgment or something like that. So it can really, really help to analyze that, because there's always a reason for it. You choose your family and they choose you. And it may be, I mean, the usual reaction when I tell people that is, oh my God, what the hell was I thinking? But, you know, joking apart, it's really important because it tells you so much about your journey.
Yeah. I have one bone to pick with you on that, though.
Go ahead.
The Addams family and the Munsters were sweet with each other.
They were really nice, weren't they?
They were really sweet with each other. You need to say mommy dearest. You come into
better.
mommy dearest.
Absolutely. I will start doing that, yes.
I mean, Morticia Addams and Gomez Addams, that's a love story there, baby. They are crazy about each other.
Adorable. Yeah, they're my heroes. I love them together.
So you're gonna have to say "mommy dearest" on that one instead, because they're not a dysfunctional. The rest of the world thinks they're dysfunctional. All right, so let's get to one more question. We got one last question. This one is a great one, and it's one actually that I have thought of myself and have been curiously. I feel like I'm delving into it, but I don't have clarity on this one, and you might have clarity on this one.
Okay.
Jennifer wants to know, how do past lives intersect with actual ancestors? For example, my past lives might have been very different from the lived experiences of my relatives. Or I think about like, am I my own grandpa? Am I, you know?
Okay, so
that song.
So I've been doing past life work now for 20 years or so. So, you know, every day I'm looking at past lives, and I'll be working with somebody, and I'm, you know, maybe we've done 4 or 5 sessions together, and I'll say to them, oh, here's a past life you had in St. Petersburg in Russia. And they'll go, gosh, that's the 5th life you told me about in that area of Russia. And that's actually not a surprise, because we have spiritual homes, places where groups of our soul family, these old souls that we're part of, they will be there for, you know, maybe for quite a long time, you know, hundreds of years. They're in one area. So I've had all sorts of experiences like that. I was working with a guy years ago, and I was just telling him about a past life where he drowned, and I said, yeah, you drowned when your ship went down off the Azores. And he said, well, my great-great-grandfather, he drowned when his ship went down off the Azores. And he said, could I have been my great-great-grandfather? And my spirit guides have a good sense of humor, and their take was, it was like such a dumb question, they wouldn't even answer it. It's like, of course, you know, you don't need to ask us everything. Such an obvious thing. I was working with somebody who's, she had a past life where I think she or somebody in that life was a translator in Czech Republic or that part of the world, Prague or so. And she said, oh, my grandfather was a translator in Prague. So that was, you know, very direct connection. Very often I'll say to somebody something like, oh, you had a past life in, and I'll name the place, and have you ever heard of it? And she goes, oh, both sides of my family come from there. You know, Riga is one that stands out. You know, yeah, both sides of my family coming from Riga. You know, these places will come up that sometimes, you know, very specific. So they're comfortable places. There was somebody, I mentioned this in my new book. I was asking her about, I was telling her about a past life in Amalfi in Italy, and a very, very happy life. She was a guy who'd owned a restaurant, loved feeding people, all that kind of stuff, which all showed up in this life, you know, loves feeding people and so on. And so I said, have you been to Italy? She said, I loved Amalfi. It's just, you know, favorite place on earth. And my wife, Christine, and I were going to go and take a trip there. So I said, was there anywhere else that you would recommend, anywhere else you liked? She said, no, I only went to Amalfi. And it was so interesting to me. That was the only place that she went, was where she'd been in this very, very happy past life. And what her soul was looking to do was re-experience some of those really warm, fuzzy feelings from being in such a great place. Which is nice, because most of the past lives, I mean, I'm sure you know this, most past lives, when you're looking at it, you're trying to clear out trauma. So it's like, oh, death, dismemberment, torture. It's like, oh, geez, it can be a little dispiriting sometimes. So it's very nice to find a positive past life.
Yeah, sometimes they're very dull and peaceful and happy, not
Yes.
dramatic.
And you can tap into that energy. You can tap into the really good feelings. And that can be, you know, in fact, sometimes when I'll tell somebody about a past life in some location, they'll talk about, I've always wanted to go there. And sometimes it's hard for people to tell, am I meant to live there? Or am I meant to just go for a couple of weeks and re-experience some of the warm fuzzies? Usually you can just tell by going there, you know, and a lot of the time it's just about the familiarity, the comfort. Interestingly, because of this sort of Western culture, like American culture maybe being a little more mostly recent, a lot of souls who are living in the States, for example, would enjoy going to Europe and just, you know, walking streets that are thousands of years old, because it taps them into something deeper, something older. A lot of us are looking for some connection to our past lives and connection to ancient wisdom and so on.
Yeah. It's like taking a walk down memory lane, you know,
Yes.
if you go down the streets of your old hometown, and same thing when you go to a place that your past life has lived. I had one client once that wasn't related, but this client asked if their mother, what the connection was with their mother. And I saw them with their mother as a child. The mother was a child, and this was an adult who was very caring and loving, but had a very just a very temporary positive experience with the mother as a child. And then the client came back as the child of the mother. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so that because this person had such a positive experience with the mother, when they wanted more.
Yes.
So that, you know, and so that
what happens all the time. Yeah, just really like being around this person.
Mm-hmm.
What I do find funny as well is that you get sometimes I'll look at somebody's mother and I'll find out, you know, oh, you were her mom before. And I mentioned this in my first book. There was the person I talked to she was talking about her 5-year-old having such an attitude and so argumentative. Part of the problem was this is a very old soul who just didn't want to be here again, who's kind of like going, oh, geez, I got to go through all this childhood thing, and I'm a really old soul, and don't tell me what to do. And she actually said to her mom, she's just to end an argument. They're just like going at it, and she said, you can't tell me what to do. I used to be your mom.
I know. You know, it's fascinating when you take kids that are just starting to have some speech that they can communicate, 3 and 4 years old. You can ask them, where were you before you were born? And they'll tell you about their past lives, because there's still part in that spirit world, and you can get stories from them about
it's that narrow window.
Yeah,
the point where they become verbal, and then the like the veil comes down.
Yeah,
yeah, and I hear all sorts of variations on that sort of theme. Talking about their past lives, and they're not just making it up. It's it's sometimes the detail is utterly fascinating. Like a 5-year-old would have no idea. Also, in my books, I talk about how there's so much healing for children, all sorts of things that they've carried into this life that can disappear just by the parents telling them what happened in the past life. Again, the child doesn't have to know consciously, but the soul hears it and goes, oh, okay, past life, I'll let it go.
I'm going to send you, when we're done here, Ainslie, I'm going to send you, I'll post, how can I get you guys? I'll send it to the email list, and I'll send it to you, Ainslie. There is the most adorable YouTube video of this little girl who's 5 years old. My own mother won't let me go to the pub. She's an Irish girl. I need to go to the pub. Why won't you let me go? That's an old soul. This is a 5-year-old who wants to go to the pub, and her mother won't. My own mother won't let me go to the pub. So,
love it.
That is an old soul.
I mean, I'm sure some people listening will relate to that. Having to have been a child as an old soul and coming back in, and people telling you what to do and not letting you have the freedom you want, and Oh my
Oh my gosh. I'm going to send you that little YouTube video. You will
that sounds
crack up.
great.
And I'll send it to you guys on the email list too, because it is adorable. So anyway, our time is up. That went fast, didn't it? I mean, this hour, it just goes so fast. It was such a delight having you on. There's a million more questions that people have. We got to some of them, but I know if we have you on again, we'll have lots more questions for you. It was such a pleasure.
Well, it's just been a total pleasure for me, and thank you so much for inviting me. And this has been a blast.
Oh, let me give everybody the code so that they can join Soul World. And next time we're going to have you and Christine.
Yes.
That's your promise. You have to.
We will absolutely.
Pinky swear that I'm going to hold Christine to that. So if you want to get in on Ainslie Soul World Community Membership Program, which is such a great place for you to connect with other people, learn about past lives, you can have this. It's so, so good. There's a coupon code, which is free. I'm going to put it in the chat. It's free, capital F, lowercase REE 7, Madame, MADAME. I'm not a pimp. Madame P. So it's Madame P. Free 7 Madame P is your code so that you can get a free week. You can try it out. You can connect with all people who are old souls too, just like you. It's a great place to learn and a great place to be and spend time with Ainslie. And it is, as you can tell, he is a lovely soul himself. And I'm going to give them the link to that to go to Soul World. The coupon expires. In fact, I'm just going to put the whole thing, copy the whole thing down here. Coupon expires 5/25. So I am going to get this, this video up quickly so that people on YouTube can get it. There's your whole thing right there. You go to soulworld.com, you use that code, you'll get a free week. It expires on May 25th. So you want to get on that right now. And is there anything else that you've got coming up that you want to promote? You're going to have a session with Brian. You're going to have some other stuff coming up that you want to talk about?
We always have things happening. I've usually have live events, and so we're taking a lot of those kind of online now. And so just check out the website, look at the events page, and we'll keep you posted about what's going on.
And then here's Ainslie's main page right here. It's Ainslie MacLeod. It's right there. There's the link to that there. Hope to see you guys over there. I'm going to take advantage of that free week and get on in on it.
Absolutely.
I should have been doing it. Where have I been? Been reading your books. And also his books are amazing. So be sure to buy those books if you're interested in past life work. We're actually having a really interesting thing next week. We're going to have Shelley Kerr on. And Shelley is an author. She is an author about past life regression, and she's a past life practitioner and regression practitioner. So we're going to learn more about past lives. It's weird that we're having two back-to-back. She's the author, and she's called the Past Life Lady. So we're going to find more about past life. So if you got those questions that didn't get answered, you can recycle them next week, and we'll learn what Shelley has to say about those things. I want to thank all of you guys in the Spell Squad for being here in the clubhouse with us. It is always the highlight of my week to come and hang out with you guys. Thank you again, Ainslie.
Well, thank you.
Just adore you. You know that.
Back at you, and thank you everyone for
check out.
listening.
Yeah, of course. And check out Ainslie's. I got to tell them, check out Ainslie's Instagram, because Ainslie is a super talented painter, and he's been painting these gorgeous, amazing, big paintings that are just amazing, on top of all of his other talents. Another way you can spot an old soul, they're good at everything they do. You're an amazing musician. You're an amazing artist.
Yes. we're both bass players, by the way.
Exactly. I know. Ainsley and I, it's like, maybe we were like split off from the same soul. I don't know what happened there, but we have too many things in common. But anyway, thank you again so much. It's so good to see you. And next time, in a few months down the line, we'll get back in touch and we'll get you and Christine on, and that'll be we'll have another great time together. And I'm going to send you guys, everybody, I'm going to send you that the little Irish girl who's the old soul, and it will crack you up. It'll be your laugh of Sunday. So, all right, everybody, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.